Welcome into Not Another Football Show. I'm your host, Tamara Brown. And just like the name says, we're not going to be just stats and schemes. We're going to have some fun, get to what this sport really is, which is entertainment. And without further ado, I'm going to welcome my dear friend, Taylor Begley, who is going to be my co-host for today. Taylor, how are you? And introduce yourself to those who are watching.
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's football Sunday, obviously, so lots of fun. But I am a sports reporter. Tamara and I work together in New England. I grew up in New England, covered the Patriots for 3 seasons. So always just been a really big football fan and got to get an inside look as a reporter. So I really just am really excited to be here to talk about all things NFL because we love to chat about the NFL, but also have some fun with it because, like you said, it is entertainment. It is fun. Like, football's the best. So let's get down to some of these conversations because there's a lot of them.
And I thought that with Halloween just around the corner, we can have some fun with it. And I'm going to put you on the hot seat first, actually, because we have... There we go. There you go. You look better. I'm going to put you on the hot seat first here because there are a lot of teams in the NFL and they've had just so much bad luck that you're like, they have to be cursed. They have to be haunted. So if you had to pick the first team off the top of your mind, who would it be?
I wanted to go the one that people weren't expecting, but I feel like I have to say the Jets. Like, growing up in Connecticut, you're kind of in between, Patriots Nation and the New York teams. And so just really being at the front and center of all of the struggles that franchise has gone through, having friends, family members who are Jets fans, and seeing just like the misery that they go through on a year-to-year basis. It really can just be summarized by the fact that they get Aaron Rodgers literally 4 plays in or whatever it was, and he tears his Achilles and he's out for the season, and then he never really had any success with them. Now he's in Pittsburgh and he's like doing well. It's so Jets. Like, that is Kurt. Like, there's no other way to explain it. They seem to never be able to get it together. They have these great players that come in and out, and then they go, like Darrelle Revis leaves, goes to New England, wins the Super Bowl. Like, that was one of your franchise great players. It's a tough time. And then look, Sam Darnold also doing well somewhere else. You get like the quarterback carousel, just everything never seems to work out for the Jets. And I would say the Giants too, if they weren't having, their moment right now. And it seems to be like working out for them, but they were another one where it feels like they can't really get it together. They have some good years and then they kind of fall off, and especially lately with, Daniel Jones, now he's somewhere else and he's doing well. But I wouldn't say completely cursed for them. Obviously, they are the most recent New York team with a championship in any sport, so they're good for something, of course. But yeah, Jet's gonna jet, and that
Which, as a Patriots fan, you love that.
yeah. I mean, even like, okay, let's bring it back around. Even Bill Belichick being the coach for like what, a day, and then he goes on and he becomes the greatest coach in NFL history, and you had him for like a day. That it's just so there's so many things where when you think about it, you're like, wow, that's like real tough. Like, that takes a lot of character. So people, if you see a Jets fan, like, they're a real one. They're a real one. I think I saw a TikTok. It was like, am I worried that my husband's gonna cheat or like not be loyal? And she's like, he's a Jets fan. So no, he's been loyal to that franchise for I'm not worried. And it's true, like that, good for them. The people that stick by their team, they're real ones because
Their ride or dies. Their ride or
it's
dies.
out there for the Jets. It really is. I don't like to say, cursed, teams make decisions and any team can be successful if they have the right strategies and they hire the right people and they draft well and all that. But there's a lot of things that just you can't explain with the Jets.
Yeah, and I think right up there with the Jets are the Browns, who are currently paying 8 quarterbacks right now. And, similar to the Jets, they have their own quarterback graveyard where they've gone through them one after another after another. And for me, when I look at this franchise, I'm like, what is going on? Like, if you look at Baker Mayfield, for example, how he's being so successful right now in Tampa, like imagine if they would have just kept him and didn't move on to Deshaun Watson, where we see how that's going right now. Like, I mean, I can't even remember the last time we saw Deshaun Watson playing for the Browns. And so now they are with their rookie quarterback in Dylan Gabriel. Who knows? We might see Shedeur Sanders one day. I think he might be on the injury report now. But I have no idea what's going on with this franchise. No idea what's going on with this franchise. They've only had 4 winning seasons since 1999. And Cleveland as a whole, when I was doing some research on this, Cleveland as a whole, they went 52 years when none of their major league teams won a championship. Until the Cavs won in 2016. Can you imagine living in Cleveland? Can you imagine?
No. I mean, and such a great, like, sports town, I imagine. I've never been there, but seems like, passionate fan bases of all their sports teams. Yeah, that's another good one. Series of bad decisions, especially, at the quarterback position. And it just goes to show the value of actually investing in not only like who you're drafting and a young quarterback, but investing in everything that is around that quarterback and the position that you're putting them in to be successful, because you see how many times, like Daniel Jones, for example, like even Baker Mayfield, like you take them out of that bad situation and then they're able to flourish. Even like look at Mac Jones in San Francisco right now.
Absolutely.
You take somebody out of a bad situation, you put them in a good situation, and they look like a completely different person and a completely different player. And another one that I always go back to for teams is like, when it comes to like sticking with the process, like look at the Detroit Lions, right? I remember, what was it, 2022 season, they came into New England and they got shut out like 29-0 or something crazy like that. And this was post the Matthew Stafford trade. They were with Jared Goff. And you could easily have said, Goff isn't it. We got to move on. We have all these pieces that we're trying to build, but he's not our guy. But they stuck with the process. And look at where they are now. Now, every single year, we're talking about them as a Super Bowl team, which is crazy because just a couple years ago, they would have been one of the teams that we're bringing up in our cursed conversation. Which still, I mean, they still need to win, right?
Absolutely.
Like, out, but like you completely have changed the way your franchise is being viewed just by like sticking with that process, and I think a lot of teams that are cursed, that we say are cursed, they don't stick with the process. They're very flighty. They just, give up, move on. They're trying to make
fly by the seat of their pants.
Yeah. They always feel like, they panic a little bit and they act like, okay, we need to do this. Okay, we need to change something, instead of actually investing in what you're trying to build. So then you're just never building anything and you're just piecing things together, and you end up in these bad situations where you're, again, paying 8 quarterbacks and like you're not even good. Like you don't even have a quarterback that yet. And then you're paying all these other guys. So it's just,
it's a lot. And we could go on and on and on about both the Browns and the Jets, who I think are, when you look at all these franchises that, we have talked about that are cursed, I think they're definitely at the very, very, very top. But we have so much more haunted/Halloween topics coming up, and we want you to stick around. So we'll see you after the break. Welcome back into Not Another Football Show. We are still having a lot of fun here. We talked about haunted franchises first, and now I want to get into haunted moments. And I'm going to go first this time because I made Taylor go first in the first segment. And so when I think about haunted moments, the first one has to be the butt fumble. And I know we've been harping on the Jets here a lot. I know we've been harping on them a lot, and I'm so sorry if you're watching this and you're a Jets fan, but the butt fumble was insane. Running into your own teammate's butt, fumbling the ball, and then the Patriots picking it up, scooping and scoring, insane. You can't make this stuff up, Taylor. And I can only imagine you being a Patriots fan at that time watching that and what was going through your mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what you just would expect as a Patriots fan, and you're playing the Jets. I feel like you just know something crazy might happen because the Patriots are so just dominating all the time, especially in the division, like my entire lifetime. Um, but it's like one of those moments where you're like, "Yep, Jets are gonna jet." Like it one of those unfathomable, like, how is this franchise like literally always in this position? Why like why are they? It's kind of a joke, you know? Like, again, sorry to the Jets fans, but it does. It like gets to the point where I would love to, know how Jets fans were feeling in that moment, like watching it too, because I just can't imagine. Like, this is your team. You know you're going to get stomped by the Patriots. The Patriots are a dynasty. They're, best team of a generation and maybe of all time. And like, you're this franchise that can't seem to get out of your own way. And that's exactly what that was. And with them, like the quarterback carousel and everything. And it goes back to way before. I mean, we brought up Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold, and Aaron Rodgers, but I mean, this goes back
for a while. Geno Smith. I mean, it goes on for days.
It goes. Mark Sanchez. Like it really is. There's the Jets and the Dolphins too in the division. Like it's not been kind to them, and it was the Bills until as of late. Obviously, they've another team that has kind of brought their franchise back around. But yeah, that's one of those moments where
you're never gonna forget it.
No, it still comes up, right? Like
it does.
You're still talking about it, still laughing about it. But jumping off of that, I'm gonna, as Patriots fan, go into my pick for haunted moments, and I just have to go with the David Tyree helmet catch in the Super Bowl when the Patriots could have had a perfect season, should have had a perfect season, because in reality, you play that game 9 out of 10 times, the Patriots are going to win that game, in my opinion. But the one time that, it matters and it's a Super Bowl, they have this miracle moment where, by the way, Eli should have been sacked, and yet he escapes somehow and then chucks this ball in the air and it's caught on the helmet. It's insane when I think about it. And then, who's going to feel bad for a Patriots fan, right? Nobody is going to feel bad. But I do feel bad for, the Randy Mosses who never got to win a Super Bowl, and they were part of that team that should have won a Super Bowl. You don't feel bad for the Tom Brady's 7 rings. Like, the guy's good, even though this one still keeps him up at night. I'm sure, and I feel like he's talked about, but yeah, that one's a tough pill to swallow, because you're this dynasty and there's this one record that's just never been touched since, the 72 Dolphins. And you were right there and you were the dominant, better team all year long and should have won that game. But fate was just not on your side. So that one keeps me up at night.
It's okay. It's okay, Taylor. It's okay, Taylor. I'm sure every franchise has that moment, that play, or if you're a Jets or Browns fan, you have plenty of things that keep you up at night.
But I will say 28-3 redeemed it a little bit, but
See, I had that as a haunted moment. I think that was number 2 for me after the butt fumble, but I feel like it's kind of half and half. Like, it's a haunted moment for Falcons fans, obviously, but it was a celebratory moment for Patriots fans. So I'm kind of one foot in, one foot out, but I'm sure that, Falcons fans are still dealing with that, because I always see that meme pop up. I mean, I feel like once a week I see it pop up when you see those big comeback wins happen. So I'm sorry, Falcons fans. I'm sorry, Jets fans, Browns fans. But like I said, everybody has those moments, and yours just happen to be the most talked about often. We'll be back after the break with a fun game that might involve trick or treat. Sorry, no candy. But stay tuned. Taylor and I will be back with more Halloween fun. Welcome back to Not Another Football Show. We're not talking stats. We're not talking schemes. We're having some fun. And for this week, it's Halloween based. And Taylor Begley is joining me today. Taylor, we've had a lot of fun the first 2 segments, haunted franchises, haunted moments. Now we're doing a fun game that I'd like to call Trick or Treat, where I'm going to call out a team, and it's up to you to decide trick or treat. And by that I mean, are they a treat, a real contender to make it to the playoffs and maybe even the Super Bowl, or is it a trick? Are they all hype and it's a bunch of fluff and they're not actually going anywhere? And up first at the top of my head, I'm going to go with the Colts. The 6-1 Colts, who Daniel Jones now leads their offense after a miserable career with the New York Giants. I'm curious, trick or treat?
I have to go with what I imagine you're also going to say, and I think it's definitely not a treat. Okay, it's a trick if you're asking me. I feel like it's one of those things where you're kind of like hanging on for dear life, and the wheels are going to fall off at some point. But stranger things have happened. Nick Foles led the Eagles to a Super Bowl. I mean, if you can't trust Daniel Jones, he could still go on a run. There's, might be some Fitz magic in there a little bit. But I don't think that if you're asking, are they going to go and win the Super Bowl or are they going to contend for a Super Bowl? I think things are going to fall off before then, if you were asking me.
I totally agree. I mean, I know right now Daniel Jones is making great decisions. He's playing really aggressive. He's, making a lot of improv plays and being extremely accurate while improving, which is something that he wasn't able to do with the New York Giants. I know for a while, he had that nickname Danny Dimes, but for me, I'm like, where are the dimes? Because I'm seeing more interceptions and turnovers than dimes, and I think now he's kind of living up to that Danny Dimes with the Colts, but I just don't see it being a long-term thing. I think it's going to be very short-lived. Next team, which I think this could be a toss-up either way. The 49ers. We talked a little bit about Mac Jones earlier and how things didn't work out for him in New England, but now he's with the new team in the 49ers. They have so many injuries, Taylor, and even with the injuries, they're 5-2. And
Yeah.
Mac Jones has been the starting quarterback for most of those games because Brock Purdy is dealing with a toe injury, foot injury, I can't remember which one, but are they a trick or are they a treat? I'm kind of torn between it. I think if I had to pick, I would go treat just because I'm impressed with the way they've been able to win with all these injured players in their starting lineup. But where do you have them?
I am also undecided, but I think the bigger injury issue is not the Brock Purdy, Mac Jones situation. I would say more the Fred Warner situation. Fred Warner is one of my favorite NFL players in the entire NFL, and I think he doesn't get talked about enough. And I think that injury, a season-ending injury, is more pivotal because they have a system like Kyle Shanahan can kind of, in a way, like plug in at quarterback. And I think Mac Jones, like we've seen him be successful when he has a good offensive coach with Josh McDaniels. Like he had a great rookie season. And so that doesn't surprise me as much. And especially, I'm not the biggest like Brock Purdy. I don't dislike Brock Purdy, but I also don't think he's like the greatest thing ever. I think there are a lot of other quarterbacks that are much better than Brock Purdy. So I don't think that necessarily is the biggest indicator as to where their success lies this season. But I think it's more of just like the overall health. But if there were a team or a franchise that could be a treat despite the injuries, it would be the 49ers. I feel like they just have a very strong culture and system built there over time, where they're set up to like have that next man up. Similar to, I mean, even like you look back of the way the Patriots were back, during the dynasty years, and when Brady was out in his suspension, you had Jimmy Garoppolo coming in and Jacoby Brissett coming in, and they were able to win games. And it kind of was this like almost, obviously not, oh, these guys are Tom Brady and they're like anybody could play quarterback for the Patriots. No, Tom Brady is the GOAT. Like but when you have a strong system like that, you can overcome some of those injuries and those types of situations. So I'm with you, borderline, but could still be a contender, depending on how it all shakes out.
So I am going to put you on the spot here. And I don't know whether you're going to put on your reporter hat or your fan hat here. But the Patriots, I mean, it appears to be turning around with Mike Vrabel and Drake May. He seems to be finding his groove in year 2. Obviously, as a rookie, you're going to have so many mistakes. You're still learning in year 2, obviously, but they're on a roll. They're on a roll, Taylor. And so, trick or treat? Are they going to go to the playoffs? Are they going to make some moves?
I think they go to the playoffs. I definitely think they go to the playoffs. I don't think Super Bowl this year. But never say never, because Drake May's ahead of schedule. And going back to the same conversation we just had about Mac Jones, Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan, like you think about Mac Jones' rookie year with Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels is back. He is one of the greatest coaches of quarterbacks and developers of quarterbacks in the league. So I am not surprised in a way. And, you know, the connection between Stephon Diggs and Drake May has been huge. The Patriots finally have a receiver that other teams have to game plan and be afraid of, which is something that we have harped on for years now, even going back to the end of Tom Brady's time there.
Correct.
Like, they didn't have that guy. And so I think, and of course, like the culture is, it's different, right? We're not in the dynasty anymore, but the culture is back. That really fell off towards the end of Bill Belichick's time there and kind of bled into Gerard Mayo's year there. And Mike Vrabel is really just a great culture builder. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing that. I think watch out for the Patriots in the future. I think they could be like one of those teams that maybe plays spoiler to a team like the Bills. The Chiefs still scare me because, again, like it reminds me too much of Belichick and Brady. There were years where, you know, the Patriots started off slow. People were calling for, oh, Brady's too old, he's going to fall off the cliff, and then they go and he won, I think, 4 Super Bowls after people were saying that. So, yeah, we're not ever going to count them out for as long as Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are together, and, you know, Travis Kelce is still out there, like the Brady-Gronk dynamic. Like, you're not going to ever second-guess them or ever count them out. So I think that, I would say, like, outside of the Chiefs and the Bills, like those are still the class of the AFC in my opinion, and that's what it's going to come down to. I would say the Ravens, but what the heck? So I think, you know, but the Patriots are up there. The Patriots are pushing. So we will see, but I do like what I see from the Patriots.
Well, you heard it here first from Taylor. The Patriots are back. They're back. They're going to the playoffs. So if you're a Patriots fan like Taylor, you definitely have something to be excited about. Taylor, thanks so much for hanging out with me and having so much fun talking ball, but in an entertainment-based way. There'll be more like this coming on Not Another Football Show, so be sure to come and hang out with us and see who I have next as my guest. Thanks so much for watching.